So for somebody that doesn't have any background when it comes to like restaurant type of a business, right? Let's just say, for example, I want to explore going into this a second cup, right? Because my background in a commercial is basically in the multi-family home, right? Which is a different scope, right? In a industrial, right? But for somebody that doesn't have any background of like restaurant, for example, I want to get into the a second cup, right? How do they find location? Do they have to do their own research first? Do they have to sit in the facilities, kind of like observe? Is there any a time frame, or is that something that you would advise first? That for somebody that wants to get into franchise, like what's the preparation? If I thinking of moving this year but unsure about this market, this ever shifting market, I help homeowners make smart moves, whether it's your first home, your second one, or your investment property. One conversation can make all the difference. Let's talk. Come visit me at www.alexmacali.ca for a one-on-one consultation. All right, I'll see you in a second.
So, if anybody wants to go into a franchise, like obviously you got to have the location. It's imperative, right? That is something that is the first thing that we do, is to try to get the location. So that's kind of where I come in, right?
That's what you do.
Well, as a realtor, this is our job, right? Like, is to find, whether we're finding locations where it's just not like residential. We're finding them a house, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Think about it that way. So, it's very transferable, right? So you're finding them a location. Now, I'll find a location, but I would take that location back to the franchisor and see if the location is appropriate, right? Because there is so many things they have to do in the background. One of them is definitely the research, right?
Yes.
Who are the competitors, right? Who are, like, and I'm not just talking about Second Cup, I'm talking about all the franchisors here in general. That you need to have that information. Who are my competitors? Is the location big enough for what I want to do? Does it fit that criteria, right? Am I going to have the foot? Am I going to have the foot traffic? How am I? How? So there is so much that is done in the background to see. And then the other thing is that if, for example, there is already a franchise, like from the same franchisor. They may have stipulations that you can't open
within the certain
criteria, right? And then the biggest one is, do we have that demographic there?
Yes, that's
right.
most important.
So there is a lot going in the background in terms of research that you have to do. So at this point, as a realtor, I'm connecting with landlords. I'm connecting with CBREs and Avis Young. To understand, like, where can I find these places for lease, right?
Correct.
So and then on top of that, you have to also understand it's quite tedious, because you want to make sure, for some you need a hood, like if it's a restaurant or a QSR that's serving maybe different things, we need a kitchen, a hood, then the criteria changes.
Yes.
Yeah. If it's like if it's can we even do it in that location?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I come in, to make sure that, okay, if I want to open up a second cup, they don't need a hood, they don't need that, but they need something else. So is this going to be something that they can work with, right? So yes, the criteria does take, there's a lot of research, I would say.
Right.
This is my world, my territory.